Hey, everybody. Yeah, you know what? You're hearing that right. That is some fancy music. We call that in the radio biz a bump or a bumper, bumping you in. You use music to just sort of just bump you in, just nudge you in. There's a little vernacular for you. It is Friday, December 15th. We are heading into the holidays, and we are deep in the throes of the holidays. And we welcome you to Indie Work Live. I'm Doug Zanger, editor-in-chief of Indie Agency News. And a little something here. So first of all, to all of our members, thank you so much. I'm not math's not my strong suit, but I think we're getting over 20 members by the end of this week. So we're really thrilled that you've chosen to support our work and to support our mission. We are member-led. That is our priority. Be member-led first and always. And your membership helps us support helps support us and support our work. It's still 7 a.m. here out on the West Coast of the United States. But we will be having, once the calendar flips over to 2024, we will have stuff going on daily. So Mondays will be Indie Agency News Radio. Tuesdays, Indie Thinking Live. Wednesdays is always Meet an Indie Agency Day. Thursdays will be Indie Work Live. So we're doing sort of a special edition here on Friday. And then on Fridays, we'll have fun and games. Could be trivia, could be game shows, could be anything. So we're doing what some of the old timers like me remember as appointment viewing, appointment listening. So we're excited about getting into this next phase, Indie Agency News 2.0. And again, to all of you who support our work, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Now, as mentioned, we are in the holiday season. We are deep into the holiday season. And as a former editor at Adweek, one of the things that we did, and I believe this, I can track this back to, I think it was Tim Nudd when he was at Adweek. He's currently at Ad Age and was at Muse, one of the GOATs of all time in this industry. I want to say it was him. I'll have to confirm that. So don't take this as gospel, but agencies and holiday cards. There's been a tradition that has been built over the years of agencies doing some sort of holiday thing, whether it's a card, whether it's some sort of digital experience. Zambezi, for example, has a digital experience where it's a gift guide with their clients, and it's pretty cool. And it actually is, because you can kind of bop around and from TaylorMade to Under Armour to you can buy a Traeger grill. so there's that. And there was one year that if for those of you of a certain experience level in this industry, I think McGarry Bowen was winning a ton of business. And no, it was Droga. So Droga 5 hired McGarry Bowen as their agency of record for their holiday card, which was great. So it is a fun time, but also it's a time to potentially make a point and to potentially do some good. And we have such a project today. Our friends at Fuse Create in Toronto. You're the second Toronto agency we've had doing this, by the way.
Hey, awesome.
So Steve and Christina from Fuse Create in Toronto, great independent agency, part of Worldwide Partners, WPI. Thank you to John Harris for his support. And so Steve, we got to talk about your background first. Can we just start with that, please?
Yes. Now it looks like I might be traveling in some kind of a train en route to Munich.
Yeah, that is good. Yes.
Yeah. But I'm actually in a trailer on set. We are shooting something today, squeezing something into the last days of December. So I'm just in a trailer taking the call.
I like that. So are you shooting it in Toronto?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All that sweet, sweet Canadian tax benefit.
Yeah, and it's actually
Vancouver
the
is a
weather.
stand-in for Phoenix. What? How'd you do that?
The weather here is actually pretty great too for for December in Toronto. It's actually pretty nice. So
Yeah. So -4. Got it.
right.
Yeah, as a native Minnesotan. So what I want to start with is let's go to the I do want to go to the article that Kyle O'Brien from Adweek wrote. And as you can see, this is great. And again, we're talking about making a point and a difference at the same time, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and start scrolling through this. As I'm scrolling through this, Christina, why don't you walk us through the concept, and then we can talk about it a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. So like many places across Canada and across North America, Toronto is in the midst of a cost of housing crisis. Both the cost to purchase a house and the cost of rent is just going up, and it is not stopping. And I think we've all just kind of accepted these astronomical numbers. A standard one bedroom house, or excuse me, a one family house in Toronto is around $1 million. And it might not even be move in ready. A coworker told me something that I thought was really funny, and she calls it the survivor test. So imagine that you were on Survivor. You played the games, you ate the bugs, you did everything right, you made alliances, you lost friends. And then they said, congratulations, here is this bungalow with a leaky roof that is going to take $50,000 worth of repairs before you move it in. It just doesn't add up.
Right.
But we've all kind of become numb to that number. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to recontextualize just what it costs to live in this city. And we did the math, and it's about $1,000 a square foot, which again sounds kind of like an arbitrary number. So what if we could put that into a different context for people to really understand? This is what it costs to live in this city. If you wanted to live in this house that couldn't even fit a pair of Air Jordans, it would cost you $1,000. And as you said about making a point and making a difference, we find our holiday cards are a really nice place to do that. We try to find a moment of cultural tension, and finding a way of putting sort of an interesting holiday lens around it so that we can maybe talk about it in a different way, raise attention for it in a different way.
Right.
And so that's exactly what we did here. The goal of creating this house was not only to raise awareness for this housing crisis, for the cost of housing crisis, but also to raise money for a charity that is helping with affordable housing in Toronto.
Right.
So those two pieces working together really nicely.
Yeah, and I think there definitely has to be a payoff, and I do think that. And Steve, here's a question for you. There's stunts, but then you take a look at this, and when I start looking at it through this lens, the cynic would say, "Oh, it's a stunt," but it doesn't feel like a stunt. There's definitely more gravity to this, I think.
Yeah, and we definitely tried to make it feel as authentic, as possible. From the real estate page that we created to the real estate agent, who was just an account, supervisor, at our office, to getting the listing out onto real estate websites. We wanted to try to make this feel as exciting as possible for sort of this new home, which just happens to be a 1 square foot gingerbread house.
Right.
And by doing that, I think we were able to bring people in to sort of the messaging as we paid it off. Right. With this idea that, it is expensive. And here's a place that you can help others in Toronto, have housing that is affordable. And because a stunt for stunt's sake, especially during the holidays, just feels maybe that's not the right way in. And we should be doing something more. Yeah, exactly. And we worked with, just a fantastic pastry shop who actually took this idea.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and built this one by one kind of typical suburban bungalow.
Right.
Instead of making it look like a typical gingerbread house, we wanted it to look like the thing you would buy with $1 million, you know, here in Toronto. And they did just an awesome job to really bring it to life.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think people forget is that for all you iterative AI folk out there, to me, this has impact because it was created, it was made, it could have been very, and I don't want to get into an AI topic with you. If you want to talk about it later, we can, but not today. But it could be very easy to simply say, all right, let's fire up the Adobe products and do a thing.
Right.
But talk a little bit about why it was important to have this level of authenticity, and give props to the pastry shop too, by the way, because Toronto pastry is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we did, you know, while we were in the ideation stage of this, there was some conversation on what was the best way to bring this to life. But to go back to what you said about, you know, a stunt and the gravity of the story that we're telling here, something about making it a tangible house felt like it could play more in the real world of the Toronto housing market. And that was the point that we were trying to make. We were trying to make this a one-to-one comparison. And that comparison just didn't feel as strong without a, not brick and mortar, but a gingerbread and mortar house to draw that comparison to. It also allowed us to do that really realistic walkthrough video with our amazing real estate agent,
right?
To give it that feeling of a real listing,
right?
And you know, it was important to us to have that semblance of reality to make that comparison feel all the stronger.
Yeah, and what's also nice now is that same model home, which you typically see, you know, if you walk into sort of like a new build condo, you know, you see that model. So there's something architecturally nice about it, but it now sits in our front window of our office with sort of a backlit, you know, real estate listing above it. So we're actually using it still to help kind of convey that notion of an actual model home being listed.
Right.
Yeah. And our office smells amazing right now. So
I was just going to say, yeah.
And also shout out to Babette and Belle who built this lovely move-in ready home for us.
Is that the name of the bakery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Belle is our dog's name. So there you go. So and
there
she's
you go.
Golden Retriever. So Babette and Belle.
Yeah.
Franco-English coming together. Babette. I don't want to have you go through your French training at school. So one of the things I would love to talk about is the reaction. So 2 reactions that I'm always interested in. Number one, obviously, what the reaction and feedback has been from, well, it's actually 3. So number one, the general public, which I think, you know, we do things in the real world. Therefore, we're always interested in what the real world implications are. Number 2, industry. And again, you know, Kyle O'Brien, props to him for covering this, because it is important for the rest of the industry to know this. And then the third one, which I've always found interesting, and I did talk to some brand clients about this. I said, how do you feel? Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just curious, like, when you see your partner agencies doing things like this, to help stretch themselves and to build some creative oxygen, how do you feel about that, and how do you feel that helps them improve as an agency? So 3-part questions. And question à toi, pal. Number 1, public reaction. Number 2, industry reaction. And then 3rd, I'm curious to know if your clients have come back and been like, oh God, that's really cool. I'm so glad you did this.
And so we're doing this whole part in French now, yeah?
If you want. It's
I sure don't.
Français comme ça, comme avec accent québécois.
I could sing Jingle Bells in French if that helps, but I think that's as far as I could get.
Yeah, that's fair.
So in terms of the reaction that we've had to this from the public, we were really, really careful in the way that we told this story. We didn't want, comedy is never funny when it's punching down. We didn't want to make people think that we were making light of the fact that it is so hard to find an affordable home, even if you have a down payment saved up, even if you have a high paying job. It's really, the barrier to entry is so high. So we were very aware of the tone that we were using when we revealed what we were doing. It was all in the spirit of acknowledging that this is a problem that we're all in together. It's a problem that needs to be addressed. Here are some people that we think are doing some great work to address it. So I think that really helped us in terms of the sentiment that we got online and in response to this. It has been overall really positive. People understand the point that we're making. People appreciate that we're pointing it out in the way we are. And of course, not just being a stunt for stunt's sake, doing it in support of an organization that's helping to solve the problem, I think has really, really helped make sure that this gets the response that we were after. And in terms of sorry, could you remind me what was part 2 of the question?
Industry reaction.
Yes,
your colleagues maybe in Toronto and throughout Canada.
Yeah, well, Steve, we went out, was it on the Newswire yesterday or today that we went out?
Yesterday morning.
Yeah, we have gotten a ton of great coverage from, I think, where were we? We were on Yahoo, I believe, Globe and Mail. We Adweek, a lot of really great publications picking it up and really understanding the story that we're telling here. Really seeing this as what we intended it to be, which was a way to support people who are trying to solve the problem. Which was great.
It's great to sort of make the industry pubs and make the sort of, the list of the great, holiday cards or campaigns.
Sure. Yeah.
And Strategy Magazine and some others that we're going to be on. But one in particular that isn't an industry pub, but is Toronto's probably like a go-to cultural page or website is Blog TO. And it really covers the stuff that gets talked about. And early on, they picked up on this story because the real estate listing is on Kijiji. And so they saw it, they picked it up, and they've run a story on it as well. So that's a real kind of feather, I think, in the cap of this campaign, is to make that cultural zeitgeist, and to be on that kind of a platform is really great, both for the charity, but also, for the campaign. Yeah. And then to your point, these holiday campaigns really are about giving the agency and the creatives and everyone in there, an opportunity to work on something that, isn't the tough brief. It's an open brief almost. People can get involved. They can roll up their sleeves. There's a tangible quality to sort of doing something, not just fun and creative, but particularly in this case, doing something relevant and doing something important. So, the pickup from the industry has been great. From these kind of culture blogs has been exciting. And then just internally at the agency, it's always a really great way to end the year on something positive like this.
I'm trying to find the Blog TO one, but I will point out that Timothy Chalamet caused pandemonium at Yorkdale Mall in Toronto.
Well, some things are more important. Yeah.
Hold on.
Is he there now? Can I still make it?
Oh, hold on. We gotta see this. Hold on. Look at him. Oh my God.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so how French is Timothy Chalamet? That's like the big that's the big. There was I can't remember what I read it in, but Timothy Chalamet. Sorry, that just had to ask.
Yeah, some things take precedence over.
Look at him. Oh, what a little love. When you look at him, like the first thing you do is, aw.
I know.
Is Timothy here? Brief aside, is Timothy Chalamet going to go through his Burroughs stage? Will he go into a dark place someday? I don't think so.
Not based on that photo.
No, I know.
I'd pay to see it. I'll tell you that.
Oh my God. Well, I think we just revealed a little something about Christina. So again, going back to clients generally appreciate that. So I'm curious about the client feedback, and if they've seen that and said, you know what, cool, we support you and we support this.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with our holiday campaigns that we've done in the past. Either ones like this that does have a payoff with respect to partnering with a charity, or ones in the past that have just been creative. During COVID, we created a digital advent calendar so that people.
I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that was a fun one.
25 days of venting about the year that was. And we were giving away, gift cards and giving away, fun little things too. But, and then, so whenever we can, we do try to do something, as Christina mentioned, that's trending, culturally relevant. And our clients, I think really appreciate it as well, especially when you can tie in, again, something that's tangible, something that they can even relate to as well.
Yeah.
And for us, I guess selfishly, it's also a way to just express more creativity, to show our clients, that, beyond their own briefs, there are still lots of other ways that we can be creative. And sometimes it's a nice way to maybe push them out of their comfort zone for the future brief that may come in.
Right. No, and I love that. And I'm a huge fan of Creative Oxygen. Right.
Yeah.
I think when you start getting into such tight lanes that you forget that number one, this industry can be fun. And that's part of the reason we exist in the first place, not to be shameless pluggy here. But at the same time, it is something that talent, you need it. I mean, you just need it.
Yeah.
And stuff like this. And I'm a big April Fool's guy. So I'll be curious to see what you do for April Fools.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's great.
And because even though it's another, it's still a project that has timelines and has deadlines, and it's still
absolutely
it still has those things tied to it. But when it's something that you just feel invested in, and when it's something that the whole agency rallies around from multiple departments, there's a camaraderie that happens, and there's a feeling of not just good but sort of inspired passion, which is great, and it just kind of moves into 2024, which is awesome.
Right. Anything else to add, Christina, before we wrap it up here?
Well, just to add to what Steve was saying, one of the joys of working on these sort of internal projects is we do all rally together. We do step outside of our roles. Our account supervisor, who became our real estate agent, who showed up in her best blazer and just nailed the first take. We were just in awe of how she embodied this character so perfectly. But that's just one example of the ways that we've that everyone rises to the occasion. We all put on different hats and do what we need to do to bring the idea to life, because it is something that we're passionate about, and that's why we're making it. So it's just an exciting, as you said, it's fun. It's a great opportunity for the team to get excited about something and bring it to life together.
Right. Who just walked by you, Christina?
That would be my fiance.
Bring him over.
We're living in a one-bedroom. I beg your pardon?
Bring him over.
I think that'll be.
Is he gone? He's gone. All right.
He's actually on a call as well.
Is he? I'll tell him to hang up. This is far more. Get back over here. What's his name?
No, we're Steve can attest. We live in a one-bedroom apartment and both work remotely, so it's a bit of a day.
Right. No, I get it. No, it's great. It's great. I did receive a note from Ottawa. So of course the Canadian content requirements for music on Canadian radio, it does apply to television. And I did receive an email saying that there must be at least one obligatory Tim Hortons reference. So I'll leave it up to one of you to make some sort of Tim Horton reference.
Well, funny enough, I had my Tim Hortons coffee this morning, and we are shooting up here for actually some clients in the States. And so they came up, and they're on set today as well, and both walked in with a Tim Hortons cup.
Listen,
so that was pretty awesome.
When we go up to British Columbia, the kids go bananas. They're just like, "Where's Tim Hortons? Wait, we got to go to Tim Hortons. We got to go to Tim Hortons." Yeah. So we go there at least once a day when we're up in British Columbia.
Oh yeah.
And then
that's the minimum requirement to stay in Canada. You have to go at least once a day.
You have to prove it on the way back.
Exactly.
What was great, we did a holiday up on Salt Spring Island. So not to be the British Columbia Tourism Department, but if you want some real peace and quiet, go to Salt Spring Island, go to the Gulf Islands, southwest of Vancouver. And I'm bummed because we went to Tim Hortons and they had hockey mascot cups. Now, I went to a hockey school. I'm originally from Minnesota, so like this is all normal to me, right?
Yeah.
And so we had the Calgary Flames mascot, and that cup disappeared, and it was one of the saddest days of recent memory. So
that's hilarious. Well, they'll be back, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm
sure. Yep. Yeah. You know who won't be back? Your Maple Leafs. They'll be a 7 seed, and then they'll lose in the first round. But again, another conversation for another day. I want to thank you both for joining us. I want you to stay on, and we're going to put you on backstage. And here's what's really funny. So take a look at Steve's name right there. Capital M, capital ILLER.
Yes.
This whole time you've so I don't know if we've just like created a new shtick for you, a new brand. So yeah. So how about me as an editor not noticing that? But Steve and Christina, thank you so much. Huge fans of Fuse Create, and I think that what you're doing in this particular project is great. But I love seeing leadership coming, and especially in Canada. I love seeing the work and the thinking that comes out of Canada and across all provinces. I think it's just such a unique point of view, familiar but different. And I think there's a lot that people can learn from it. But kudos to you on doing something really great. And I'll have you stand by backstage. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. And to everybody out there, I wish you a very good holiday. We're gonna take some time off. Well, we're gonna take some time off. Nah, we might do something next week because it's fun and we got stuff to talk about. So yeah, we'll probably do a few things next week. But again, to all of our current members, thank you so much for your support. For those of you kicking the tires, reach out to me, Zanger at indieagency.news. Happy to talk to you about membership and the benefits of membership and how you can help grow the global home for independent agencies. On behalf of all two of us at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger, and we'll see you next time.